Good evening and welcome to the news. I'm Ankita Mukherjee. Over the next half hour, the day's biggest headlines. Let's get started with the top stories. Addressing industry heads, the Prime Minister says his government has made tough decisions mumkin or possible, asks India Inc. to take more risks, describes the contentious new farm laws as historic despite 8 months of unceasing protests by farmers. Parliament's session of disruptions comes to an end as both houses are adjourned indefinitely. After the acrimony in the lower house, the Prime Minister, Sonia Gandhi and opposition leaders are all smiles at the Speaker's meet that follows. Freedom on Independence Day for Maharashtra as the government announces sweeping relaxations. Mumbai's lifeline, its suburban train network and malls will be open for the fully vaccinated from the 15th of August. 200 people at weddings, restaurants can stay open till 10 p.m. But Chief Minister Thackeray is yet to take a call on reopening schools. Over 40,000 breakthrough infections in Kerala among those already vaccinated. Sources in the Health Ministry tell NDTV samples will be sent for sequencing, even as new relaxations kick in, including the opening up of beaches. Uttar Pradesh also plans to ease lockdown despite the centre's alert. Uttar Pradesh's R number indicates that its cases trajectory is rising. 11 people have died and around 30 are missing after this landslide in Himachal Pradesh's Kinnaur leaves several vehicles buried under debris. The Indo-Tibetan border police is engaged in a massive rescue operation. Ashwini Upadhyay, a member of the Delhi BJP's executive who was arrested in connection with communal slogans raised during a protest at the Jantar Mantar, gets bail. Dissent grows in Karnataka as one minister removes his office signage to signal his displeasure over portfolio allocation. Another minister is also believed to be unhappy. Our top story tonight. The government's move to end retrospective tax is the undoing of a past mistake, Prime Minister Modi said while addressing the top industry body, the CII. Asking industry to increase its appetite for risks, he said his government had demonstrated that tough decisions were now possible. He also spoke about India's youth power and its immense possibilities.
भारत के पास ग्रोथ के असाधारण अवसर उपलब्ध है, ट्रिमेंडस स्कोप उपलब्ध है। ये सब मुश्किल फैसले आज मुमकिन हो रहे हैं क्योंकि देश अपने प्राइवेट सेक्टर पर, आप सभी पर भरोसा करता है। अभी हाल में हमने अतीत की गलतियों को सुधारते हुए रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव टैक्सेशन को भी समाप्त करने का निर्णय लिया है। इस फैसले की इंडस्ट्री में जिस तरह से सराहना हो रही है, मुझे विश्वास है इससे इंडस्ट्री और गवर्नमेंट के बीच विश्वास और मजबूत होगा। साथियों, आज देश में वो सरकार है जो राष्ट्र हित में बड़े से बड़ा रिस्क उठाने के लिए तैयार है। इस आत्मविश्वास को हम हर सेक्टर में देख रहे हैं। अभी हाल ही आपने ओलंपिक्स के मैदान में इसे अनुभव किया है। आज भारत के युवा जब मैदान में उतरते हैं तो उनमें मन में वो हिचक नहीं होती। वो मेहनत करना चाहते हैं, वो रिस्क लेना चाहते हैं, वे नतीजे लाना चाहते हैं। यस, वी बिलोंग टू दिस प्लेस। ये भाव आज हम अपने युवाओं में देख रहे हैं।
A dismal Lok Sabha session that saw just 22% productivity came to an abrupt end today as Speaker Om Birla adjourned the lower house indefinitely. After hours of protests and daily disruptions in both houses of parliament and acrimonious scenes, the smiles on the faces of the leaders who gathered in the speaker's room after the session wrapped up seemed rather incongruous. An estimated 130 crores or more of public money has been wasted because of the disruptions.
The Prime Minister, Congress President Sonia Gandhi with the Lok Sabha Speaker shortly after the session was wrapped up this morning, 2 days early. The opposition parties stuck to their protest over the Pegasus phone hacking scandal and the farm laws. And both the government and opposition parties blaming each other for the logjam. The Prime Minister attended the Lok Sabha for the second time this session for a few minutes.
सभा की कार्रवाई अनिश्चित काल के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
यही पहली बार सदन के अंदर प्रधानमंत्री जी को आज देखा है। जब सारे कुछ खत्म हो चुके हैं, प्रधानमंत्री जी सदन में पधारे थे। धड़ल्ले से सरकार ने सारे विधेयकों को एक के बाद एक पारित करते चले गए और सदन में कोई चर्चा नहीं हुई। बगैर ओबीसी मसला कोई चर्चा नहीं हुई।
20 bills have been passed in Lok Sabha in the monsoon session. 19 bills passed without discussion. Only the OBC bill was passed unanimously after over 5 hours of discussion. OBC bill will empower states to draw their own OBC lists. Out of 96 hours, House functioned for only 21 hours and 14 minutes. Just 22% productivity, lowest in the 17th Lok Sabha.
ये बात सही है कि 17वीं लोकसभा का छठा सत्र कामकाज की दृष्टि से अपेक्षा के अनुरूप नहीं हुआ। मेरी कोशिश थी कि सदन चलना चाहिए, लेकिन संपूर्ण प्रयास करने के बाद भी सदन नहीं चला। इससे निश्चित रूप से मुझे वेदना है।
Sources say after the lower house was adjourned, the speaker held this meeting with the leaders of all parties, urging them to cooperate with the functioning of the house in future. The upper house too was no different. Rajya Sabha chairman Venkaiah Naidu turned emotional while criticizing the conduct of some opposition MPs who were standing on the tables throwing rule books on Tuesday.
I rise in deep anguish to praise and record the way this august house is being subjected to sacrilege, and that too propelled by a sense of competition among some sections of the house since the commencement of this monsoon session. While some members sat on the table, some others climbed on the table of the house. I have no words to convey my anguish and to condemn such acts.
Like the lower house, the opposition parties cooperated with the government in passing the constitutional amendment bill on OBC in the upper house too.
The bill is passed.
In a show of strength, the opposition parties have planned for a protest in Parliament on Thursday against government for passing the bills without discussion and muzzling their voice inside the Parliament. With camera person Sanjay Kaushik, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
And of course, the Rajya Sabha adjourned as well. Moving on, freedom there will be freedom for Maharashtra on Independence Day as the government has now announced sweeping relaxations in COVID restrictions for the state. Mumbai's Lifeline, its suburban train network, will be open for the fully vaccinated from the 15th of August. The state government has laid down stringent SOPs, ensuring monthly season passes are issued only to the vaccinated. The civic body, the BMC, is setting up help desks for commuters. But it's not all good news. Vaccine supplies are dwindling again. Just 11 out of 300 government vaccination centers are functioning in the city.
Harshal Bhoir stays in Diva on the outskirts of Mumbai in Thane district and works in a private pharmaceutical company in Mumbai Central. Harshal used to make this 47-kilometer long journey on his bike in the absence of trains. He says it used to take him 2.5 hours every day and the petrol costs were 500 rupees every day.
बहुत वक्त ज़्यादा जाता था, पेट्रोल के लिए अलग से पैसे लगते थे, पेट्रोल के रेट्स भी बहुत बड़े हुए हैं, तो वो एक आम आदमी के लिए उतना ये नहीं था, बोलते ना, परवड़ता नहीं था इतना। तो अभी जो है वो एक अच्छा कदम उठाया है सरकार ने।
Katecha, who stays in Ulhasnagar in Thane district, is happy and relieved that he can now take a train to travel to his garment shop in Mumbai's Santa Cruz.
बहुत हार्ड हो जाता था, 4-4 घंटा लगता था, लाइन लगाना आने जाने।
एक टाइम का 4 घंटा लगता था,
3.5-4 घंटा ट्रैफिक की वजह से। बहुत कुछ एक फैसिलिटी फिजिकल थोड़ा आदमी अच्छा हो जाता है और थोड़ा टाइमिंग में शॉर्ट हो जाता है।
The BMC has set up offline desks at 109 stations across the Mumbai metropolitan region to help commuters get their passes. There will also be 358 desks at 53 suburban railway stations in Mumbai. They will be open between 7 in the morning and 11 at night. A hard copy of the final COVID vaccination certificate and a photo ID is checked for verification.
If the 14 period is not there, that gap is not there, we don't issue. For example, if one passenger got vaccinated, fully vaccinated on 8th of August, we have requested him to come after 14 days.
But the problem in Mumbai is that the vaccine is in short supply and frequently vaccine centers are shut down. Even today, only 11 of the 314 government and BMC run vaccination centers are operational.
As on date, more than 57 lakh have taken the first dose and more than 19 lakh have taken the second dose. So therefore it is a gradual process, and as and when we receive stock, we will use that stock for vaccinating people.
Suburban railway network is considered lifeline of Mumbai. While the government started reopening offices and other activities, the demand to start local train for common public also started growing. While the process has now started, but the slow vaccination process means not many people can benefit out of this. In Mumbai with camera person Rajendra Dayalkar, this is Purva Chitnis for NDTV.
Well, Purva joins us for more on that. Purva, this is of course going to come as a huge relief for thousands upon thousands of commuters in Mumbai, but several other relaxations announced as well. Take us through those.
Absolutely. In fact, at the cabinet meeting today, several decisions were taken on further relaxations. Now, you can say that across Maharashtra, more and more relaxations are being given. However, the final notification and the detailed SOP is yet to come. But let me also take you through what all the decisions that the cabinet took. The bigger demand from the Hotel and the Restaurant Association was to allow them to remain open till 10 p.m. That has been accepted. Also, the malls will now remain open till 10 p.m. but only fully vaccinated people can enter malls. So it is mall owners' responsibility to check for the vaccine certificate and only allow those who are fully vaccinated to enter the mall. That is about the mall. Also, as far as the schools are concerned, now that is something that the task force says that they are not in favor of opening schools. So tonight, CM along with the school department and the task force will once again have a meeting and decide whether they would want to open schools or not, because the school education department in fact had taken the decision that from August 17 the schools will open in Maharashtra, but that is now put on hold and CM will finally take a decision. And as far as other relaxations are concerned, well, the marriage halls are now allowed to function with more people, with 100 people indoors and 200 people if it is outdoors. Then malls are open, hotels, shops are going to remain open till 10 p.m. However, cinema halls and theatres and places of worship are still going to remain closed. But a final notification is yet to come in. A detailed SOP is expected, and that will be released shortly.
Okay, thanks very much for those details, Purva. Meanwhile, over 40,000 breakthrough cases of COVID-19 infections in people who've been vaccinated have been found in Kerala. Sources in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare have told NDTV. In stark contrast to this worrying news, beaches have now opened up for visitors, with the Kerala government easing more COVID restrictions.
After over 100 days, Kovalam Beach in Kerala is open to the public. This sought-after destination of global tourists may, however, see only domestic visitors for a while. Ahead of Onam on 20th August, malls and tourist destinations have been allowed for those who got at least one vaccine dose 2 weeks ago, have an RT-PCR negative certificate from within 72 hours, or a COVID positivity report from 1 month ago.
We are following all the government norms as per the government guidelines. We are following all that. We are taking all the details from the customer and checking all the details, vaccination details. Those customers are allowed who are vaccinated.
Citizens say the strict norms boost their confidence on safety.
ഇവിടെ നമ്മുടെ മാളിൽ വരാൻ അങ്ങനെ പേടിയ കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നുമില്ല. ഫുള്ളി വാക്സിനേറ്റഡ് ആണ്. പിന്നെ സാനിറ്റൈസർ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഗ്ലൗസ് ഉണ്ട്, എല്ലായിടത്തും പ്രൊട്ടക്റ്റഡ് ആണ്. വേറെ പേടിയും കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നും ആർക്കും ഇല്ല. മീൻസ് എല്ലായിടും നല്ല ക്രൗഡഡ് ആണ്.
अब इधर आने के लिए ऐसा कोई थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम, आदमी लोग ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम डरता है क्योंकि इसलिए अभी कोरोना का टाइम है. इधर ज़्यादा ट्रिवांड्रम में ज़्यादा कोरोना वायरस चल रहा है और डेली ज़्यादा चल रहा है.
At liquor outlets like this one, norms like checking certificates for negative RT-PCR vaccination or month-old positivity report are difficult to enforce and have been given the go-by. This even as the centre announced today that Kerala has had over 40,000 breakthrough COVID infections, which means more than 40,000 people who got one or both doses of COVID vaccine tested COVID positive. Just in Pathanamthitta, nearly 15,000 people who got one dose and over 5,000 who got a second dose became COVID positive. The centre has asked Kerala to send all samples of breakthrough infections for genome sequencing so that it can be known if a new mutant variant has come up that is escaping immunity developed by vaccination. With SP Babu in Thiruvananthapuram and Parimal Kumar in Delhi, Uma Sudhir for NDTV.
BJP leader Ashwini Upadhyay, who's a member in fact of the Delhi BJP's executive, who was arrested over communal slogans raised allegedly at the Jantar Mantar, has now been given bail. The court says that there is nothing on record to show Ashwini Upadhyay was involved in hate speech. The court also observed that a conspiracy may have been hatched behind closed doors. Karnataka Minister Anand Singh, who was given the Ecology and Tourism portfolio, has made no secret of his dissatisfaction. In fact, he's sending out a very clear message. More trouble for the newly appointed Chief Minister, Basavaraj Bommai. Another minister, MTV Nagaraj, is also reportedly unhappy. He was put in charge of municipal administration and sugarcane.
A signboard for the Hosapete office of Karnataka Minister Anand Singh being removed. This widely shared video is being seen as a message being sent by Singh, who has openly expressed his unhappiness with the Ecology and Tourism portfolio that he was allotted. Singh has been visiting temples in his home district.
ಇವತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ಏನು ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಸಿಗಬಹುದು, ಆ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಆಶೆ ಆಕಾಂಕ್ಷೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಆದರೆ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು.
Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai says he will work things out with his old friend.
ನಾನು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಟಚ್ಚಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಯಾರೋ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಟಚ್ಚಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅವರ ಭಾವನೆಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅವ್ರು ಬರಲಿ, ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
Singh was one of the former Congress MLAs who switched loyalties to the BJP in 2019, leading to the collapse of the state's coalition government between the Congress and the Janata Dal Secular. Another man from that group is another new minister, MTB Nagaraj, who had also expressed unhappiness with his portfolio.
ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡಿಂದ ಏನು ಸೂಚನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡಿಂದ ಏನು ಸೂಚನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಆನಂದ್ ಸಿಂಗ್ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಅವರು ನಮಗಾಗಲಿ ನೀವು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಮುಂದಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಭರವಸೆ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
The coalition collapse in 2019 brought in B.S. Yediyurappa as Chief Minister, and he had promised the former coalition MLAs their due rewards. His successor, Bommai, seems to have been left handling that debt. With Govind Murthy, Maya Sharma in Bengaluru for NDTV.
This monsoon season has seen some devastating landslides in Himachal Pradesh. The latest in Kinnaur has left 11 people dead and close to 30 people trapped under debris. Rescue workers race against time to get them out.
At least 11 people have been killed when this landslide in Kinnaur district in Himachal Pradesh struck a bus and several other vehicles. A government-operated bus carrying over 40 passengers was on its way from Kinnaur to Shimla. At least 13 people have been rescued as Army, NDRF, ITBP and officials of police and local administration carry out the rescue work.
मेडिकल की हमारी टीम्स, हमारे जो और भी लाइफ सेविंग ड्रग्स हैं, साथ ही साथ और भी जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स है वहाँ पर रेस्क्यू एंड रिलीफ की, वो सारी तैयारियाँ हमारी तरफ से वहाँ पर कर ली गई हैं। जैसे ही शूटिंग स्टोन्स के गिरने का सिलसिला समाप्त होगा, हमें लगता है कि हम रश कर पाएंगे। ऐसी सूचना है कि लगभग 40 लोग वहाँ दबे हो सकते हैं, जिनको निकालने के लिए आईटीबीपी की टीम्स लगातार कोशिश कर रही हैं।
Expressing his concern over the incident, Chief Minister Jairam Thakur shared that the central government was monitoring the situation and all efforts are being taken for the rescue operations.
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का भी फोन आया था, उन्होंने भी पूरी जानकारी फोन पर ली है और केंद्र से जो भी मदद आपको चाहिए प्रदेश को, आप हमको बताइए, जब भी चाहिए जो वो मदद करें।
As per a report shared in the State Assembly, heavy rains and floods have so far claimed 222 lives, 12 people are missing and destroyed over 1,100 houses and cowsheds this monsoon. Today's landslide is the fourth in recent weeks in the Himalayas, including one in neighbouring Uttarakhand. Experts say that scant regard to environmental laws is responsible, and this sort of tragedy is what a new UN climate change report projected will happen more frequently with warming temperatures. With Mohammad Ghazali, Joshua Chin for NDTV.